Good morning. It's Carrie here in Colorado, and I'm saying hello to my nephew Kyle, who I hope is watching this. Kyle was a huge part of putting this back garden together in particular last fall, and everything is budding up, and I just want to show you how great it's worked out. So thank you, Kyle, and hi. So here we are at the top. In just my little extra bed. These tulips have started to explode just from yesterday. Yesterday morning they did not look like this, but they're coming up. You can just see them all in there. These are probably my tallest tulips so far, as some of these are 10 inches. Ooh, yeah. But you can just see I packed this really full, and things are just poking out everywhere. Even crocuses are still happening here because it does stay pretty cool and doesn't get a ton of sun. So let's go down here. I've got some flower boxes coming in. We're gonna really load those up with color. So heading down to the big bed, you can see this 8x4 bed has a fair number of, I think, daffodils. A lot of daffodils in here. They're probably Ice King daffodils. And then there's a couple of allium right over there that I thought were dead, but have actually started to come up. Then there is some hyacinth here. These are going to be blue hyacinth, I believe. They were extras from the front yard that just needed a little home. You can see everything is still pretty short. I mean, I like to compare it to my hand. And as you see, pretty short, but they're coming up. Here in the back, these are tulips from a couple of years ago. They're going to be like a dark pinkish red. And they are, for the most part, I think they're going to be blind. I don't think a lot of them are going to be throwing buds up, but you can see a few here, and I honestly don't recall where I put the extra bulbs to, because I did try to tuck a couple of extra bulbs that I just had from the rest of the plantings into here, so we might see those. But for the most part, I think these are just going to be like splitting tulips from a few years ago, and maybe some little teeny buds like over there. And these are probably 5 inches tall at this point. So today is Tuesday the 20th. You can see some of the crocuses that had gone over, but they were really lovely. I'm glad I had them. And then some of them didn't bloom. Either they didn't bloom yet or they're not going to bloom at all this year, but they do seem to be enjoying themselves. Here, I think that these are actually, I thought that I had the Acropolis Narcissus coming up here in front of this little stone structure, but as I look at these are actually hyacinths that I had tucked in there, just looking for somewhere to put them. So far, the 10 very expensive Acropolis Narcissus have not shown themselves. So that's a little disappointing, but we'll see what happens. All right, and then for the rest of the garden, actually you can see this is the lilac bush, and hopefully you can see that it's actually starting to bud up. Very nice. We've got all of these are going to be pink tulips for the most part, that are poking up. There's everything from Apricona to Apricot Delight. Then over here at the end, these might be carousel tulips that I had gotten from Longfield Gardens as a replacement. The leaves are slightly wavier, but I'm just looking forward to seeing what they are, since it was such a desperate throw into the garden at the end of last year that I'm not sure exactly what things are. I suspect that this large wave of tulips here is Pink Impression that I'd gotten in bulk from Color Blends, I believe. So those are going to be lovely. You can see this very strappy little foliage of the Lady Jane tulips, kind of curly, a little bit of color at the edges. Yeah, not what I was expecting from the Lady Jane tulips. They are kind of in the front here, but you know, they're supposed to perennialize and naturalize well. Then the yellow hyacinth are coming up. Look at that. These ones are going to be, these are the yellow Woodstock. I think they're called Woodstock. Yellowstone, there we go. Yellowstone hyacinths. There's, I think, 25 of them in here. And I'm going to be very curious to see which of these tulips, is it the Apricot Delight, is it the Apricona, is it one of the other ones that has this lovely striped foliage They seem to be, they're slightly shorter than most of the apricot, or sorry, they're slightly shorter than most of the pink impressions. But you can't see, I think there's, I hope we're gonna have buds. Yeah, there we go, there's little buds in there with the pink impressions. And yeah, these Yellowstone hyacinth, I hope, are gonna be just gorgeous. And then of course the crocuses are coming up here. As you can see, it's much more delayed in the back than it was in the front. The white ones especially seem to be the later, but we've got a little river going on here, which is what I was hoping, just from seeing the Keukenhof gardens, how maybe from further away, really the most color that you can actually see at this point are those pink impression tulips. And then the other ones are just starting to fill in, but I think we're gonna have that sort of river and maybe a bit of a succession. So they're all growing. A rose bush, look at that, the little dappled willow. I always find it hilarious that this little guy came from the front yard at the, I pulled him out at the end of last year since he wasn't thriving. And this is his brother that had lived down here all last year. So hopefully this guy is as tall as I am. He's over 5 feet at this point and just waves like an octopus in the wind. I love it. And these junipers also came from the front yard. I yanked them out from one earlier in the year, one later, and I've used those holes for more tulips. So I'm just not a big juniper fan, but that should be a little burning bush or a Weigela back there. It has struggled horribly over the last couple of years. And then this is a black lace elderberry. I think it's coming back. Like you can see down here, these look like black lace elderberry buds coming out, but it is not the, it's not a lush plant so far. In fact, I think some of this is going to just be dead. So we'll see what happens. Snapdragons that look like they've actually wintered over, shockingly. And then some tulips that I had, as I said before, just tossed into the ground. All right, now this is what I definitely wanted to show Kyle. Kyle brought all of these down for me, all these big like pavers, and helped me turn this into a functional flower bed. And the tulips are coming up great. I hope that we'll see some blue in here, maybe a couple of the blue hyacinth. I think these ones here, these are looking like these hyacinth are going to be blue. And then, but you can see the little grape hyacinth. They are definitely, they're purplish blue, but they're coming up. And this is going like gangbusters over here. You can see these are all rows of tulips and daffodils. And we'll have to see which is which when they come up. But these will be primarily the pinks and the whites. There's some Mount Tacoma double tulips in here. There's some, I think there's some replete daffodils that are pink and white. There's some apricot delight, and probably a few others that I had just tossed in here to see what they would do. All right, well, thank you for sticking with me with this. And for Kyle, if you're watching, I love you very much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you later this week. And take care.